Welcome to Smartly Uneducated, everybody. I'm your host, Ben, and I am joined by my awesome co-host, Evan, and we have an awesome episode, but here you go. Oh my goodness.
That's not me. Hey, everybody, how are
Elgato
you?
messed up.
I am Evan. I don't know if the camera's on me or not, but how is everybody today? It is a beautiful Friday as normal. We have an interesting show going on for you, talking about the ancient bells that we've all seen been pulling up on social media. Them being buried.
I found one in my yard.
You found one in your yard? Oh my God, from the 17th century.
I'm rich, dude.
They got rid of all the bells and whatnot during technology overhauling and trying to change the way we live, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about the show all the time about frequencies, and we probably bring that up yet again.
Mm-hmm.
And if you all don't want to watch us, we are hosting a space as well. Feel free to join us on X Space. Mm-hmm. And we will be having a great show as normal. But
yeah,
as always, we start the show off with a little bit of news and things that I found interesting throughout the week and throughout the days. This is a new one that came out 5/29/2025 from a website called El Andalitando. The space is muted, by the way.
Oh, my bad.
And
there we go. Sorry. I hope the space can hear us too.
They
outside
can
of our
now,
lives.
yes.
Oh, there we go.
Say goodbye to conventional engines. China has redesigned a shape of an engine into a ring that is supposed to revolutionize space propulsion.
Oh,
it looks really cool. It looks kind of like a Ouroboros snake eating itself in complete unison, right? It's gonna revolutionize space travel.
No,
this ring is the thing. It's a motor that looks like it belongs on the ISS. It's the ultra short high voltage hairpin motor. Mm-hmm. This thing has 400 volts of motor power, 150 kilowatt motor pure electric power, and it's supposed to be coming out August 2025.
No shit,
dude. It is badass.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is really cool. It is really cool. It's really compact as well, so it has a huge power and a very small, well, relatively small, of course, because it's to help power the spaceships of the future. That's what the goal here is.
Yeah,
that China is proposing.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's interesting shit. It's cool. I love the new space technology that is emerging rapidly.
Yeah. So, speaking of space technology, so last episode when we did the Golden Dome and 6th gen warfare and technology, all the new stuff that was coming out. At one point when we were talking about, I think it was the J-50, right? It was the J-50.
Correct. The Chinese.
Air, dogfighter or whatever. That fighter jet, I just realized where I've also seen it. And I saw it 2 years ago. That was one of the UFO videos. Not from the orbit one where it was Black Knight.
I believe it.
It was one of the ones that looked like it was literally the exact same plane that people were seeing at night that was filmed over the ocean. And it was like it was doing some weird hovering thing. It was like hovering in place, and then it was like rotated and pivoted and then started flying around. And everyone's like, oh, this UFO. Dude, no, that was Chinese.
What is a UFO?
Either they were doing like a test flight, or they've already had it for a while. One of the two.
R.A. Cisco in the chat just said, I get Chinese propulsion ring whenever I eat bad shrimp lo mein. Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, dude. That's some bad
Make
shrimp,
sure you
dude.
got a bidet at the house to clean up that mess, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
huh?
dude. That's some bad stuff right there.
But what does a UFO mean other than an unidentified flying object? It can be anything. It could be a rock that someone throws really hard and is flying across the camera zone.
I'm going to throw this so hard. Right over
What
there.
is this rock? It's UFO. It's the Omicron spaceship. Whatever.
No, you make a good
Omarasu.
You make a good point, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just something that's unidentified, right? Yeah. But I remember at the time, for what now I know is the J-50 is what people were seeing. All it was, like, people were putting the label of potentially ET craft, things like that, because it didn't look normal.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the J-6ers, because brother, they didn't storm no castle, dude.
Those J-6ers picked me up like a dog and shot a car with its laser vision.
That's a UFO right
I saw the whole thing. What?
Yeah, you saw the whole thing, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, something like that.
So a few episodes back, I think about 6, maybe 10 episodes now, I was talking about uranium and nuclear powered engines and nuclear power objects in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have figured out to make liquid uranium power rocket ships.
Whoa. Repeat that sentence again.
Okay, right?
No, repeat it again. So make sure I did not just
there is a
mishear that.
nuclear rocket breakthrough. So now instead of using conventional fuel like jet fuel, rocket fuel, or things of that nature, they're going to use uranium, nuclear power fuel, to launch rockets in space and power them.
That's
The U.S. has created this, by the way.
That's wild.
U.S. scientists build molten uranium engines for faster space missions.
Wow.
So I want you to think about that title for just a second. For faster missions, that tells you that they've already been doing it, right?
Yeah. That's all it tells me.
Right?
Yeah.
It's at simple face value. For faster missions, oh, so the missions have been already happening, just a very, very slow space. Maybe Olivia James has a little bit of truth behind her stories, right?
Yeah, I mean, there is a couple of things that Olivia was talking about.
Camera?
Oh, sorry. There is a couple of things that Olivia was talking about, though, that are kind of playing into what she was saying, especially recently. I'm sure, don't get me wrong, I've ripped on Ross Cohort from his half-butted journalism and weird, dumb things. But at the same time, he is saying something that I have been seeing a lot of. I don't know if you heard about this, where they're saying we're on borrowed time.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And they're making a big deal about 2027 and leading up into 2030 to 2040. That's where all these circles are going. And that's exactly what Olivia James was saying, and she's apparently been saying it for a while.
Yeah, that brings around the Antikythera
I knew it.
mechanism,
I'm
right?
going to fucking Mars, dude.
Oh, you are?
Dude, I'm riding on that new F-47.
There's also been a lot of social media posts that describe the time span it takes to get to different planets, different galaxies, using things like a Boeing 737 or 747.
Well, let's hope it doesn't fall apart due to safety problems.
Boeing. But I mean,
you get it? It's Boeing.
It's Boeing at the seams, dude.
Seams, dude.
Just like my pants after I eat lo mein. But yeah, so I mean, take that into consideration as well. You're starting to see a lot of posts talking about space travel in general, and now that Elon is no longer a part of Doge in the U.S. government, he's gonna be going full bore into SpaceX to perfect intergalactic travel, I imagine.
No, yeah, dude. There's a lot of cool stuff coming around the corner, man.
It's really exciting.
I'm very excited once that's the norm, like the technology is the norm, because then it's like, oh man, I gotta go to the grocery store, open up a teleport door, just walk through seamlessly. Ooh, I need a gallon of milk. Walk 10 seconds. Dude.
It's gonna be beyond that. It's gonna be your AI robot.
And then the chips they're gonna put inside of me, I don't even have to do the tap checkout thing. Not Apple Watch, like the Apple Pay. You don't have to do any of
the
that.
past,
Dude. You just walk in, it scans you. You already know.
Oh.
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Like I don't cool down rooms or nothing.
Yeah.
But I would like to be able to get from one point to another very quickly. Unless I feel like going for a night drive. Well, sometimes that's relaxing.
Yeah, sometimes that is really nice.
It's very relaxing.
Call me and put on some heavy fucking metal music and just
dude. Especially the dubbed over Slipknot where he talks about putting his fingers in his ass. Oh yeah, dude, that's my jam,
those are so funny. Those are so good.
You sent me that. That was the first time I had ever seen it. I laughed my ass off.
There's so many of them. There's a Limp Bizkit one as well. They're all over the place.
Yeah,
making AI generated voice.
Yeah, but a lot of them. I do have one little news thing, and it's a video.
Oh yeah, please.
That I'm going to play, right? I don't know if anyone has seen the new ad. So I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna do this one thing. It's gonna be about a minute and a half, and then we're gonna jump right into the topic because this is a loaded one. And for those who don't know what we're talking about, obviously we have it highlighted as the name in our live stream for Ancient Bells and things like that. So we did our homework, at least the best of our ability. So we got a lot of stuff we are gonna be fleshing through. But with that being said, I'm gonna ask you a question real quick.
Please do.
Have you seen the new military ad? The anti-woke ad.
I have, yeah, I saw that. It's awesome.
Dude.
It's very America
Dude,
forward.
it gets my engine revved,
Well, that's
dude.
the whole point. That's dude. It's propaganda at its finest.
Oh, it's winning on me.
Yeah.
If that's modern day like light version of MK Ultra on just the normal public, I'm game. Let's go.
Well, they had things similar to that during the World War II, but not video based, of course. But
if they did, dude, we're wow. Shit.
So I mean, they're
the Nazis did make UFOs.
Yeah, unidentified flying object, dude. Come on, get with the program.
Yeah, unidentified flying bells.
This isn't the first time we've gotten stuck with a propaganda like concept where they're saying join the military. It's gonna be badass.
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
dude, they were running badass ads after 9/11 happened.
Yes, they were.
Like crazy.
Yes, they were. So it's the same concept, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rate of people inscribing into the military and the fighting forces in America have skyrocketed since Trump and Pete Hegseth have joined forces.
Mm-hmm.
The people signing up are left and right. Like, yeah, this is smart. We'll do this. Do this. Go ahead, play it. Yeah.
Yeah, let me get this pulled right here. I'm gonna hit pause real quick.
It's a minute and a half, everybody. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen it, but if you haven't, we're going to show it to you because it's going to be awesome.
Before I switch over the screen, I'm going to make sure it's... Oh, if that's not going to make it any better. Okay. Anyways, well, let me switch it over right now. And dude, this is amazing. It's pure awesomeness, bro.
And those of you over in audio land.
Yeah, bro. Let me make that a little bit bigger for everyone to see because you want to see this in all of its motherfucking glory, dude. Are you ready, dude?
Yeah.
Oh, let's go. Dude, my engine's already purring.
No more distractions. No more electric tanks. No more gender confusion. No more climate change worship.
Hey, full screen.
We are laser focused on our mission of warfighting.
We will measure our success not only by the battles we win, but also by the wars we end, and perhaps most importantly, the wars we never get into. It's called peace through strength.
You look into the eyes of these young Americans who are giving up the best years of their life in a uniform to serve their nation. They are incredible.
Through our power and might, we will lead the world to peace. Our friends will respect us. Our enemies will fear us. And the whole world will admire the unrivaled greatness of the United States military. We will replenish the pride of our armed forces, end the recruitment crisis.
We don't fight because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us.
God bless you. God bless our armed forces. God bless our men and women serving overseas. And God bless the United States of America.
Oh, dude.
The first comment on that YouTube video is born too early to deploy to the Middle East, born too late to deploy in the Middle East. And now I can't finish it because he just changed the channel.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
And then it said born just in time to deploy into the Middle East.
Yeah.
But
dude, it's great. It's so great.
Think how you want. It is a pure propaganda, testosterone-fueled fighting video to join the military.
Dude, I'll be honest, dude. I just got to say this. When I saw that ad, I immediately started getting all my guns out.
Yeah.
I was ready to go, dude. I was like, which recruiter's going to take me right now? Let's go. Up, too old, damn it. Too old, damn it. Too old, damn it. You're retarded. Get out of here. You'd be great eating crayons. The Marines want you. Well, that's where I wanted to go.
Too old.
No. Actually, you're too stupid for us. Get out of here. I was like, damn it. Yeah, but dude,
I think they did a very good job of what they wanted to portray.
Yeah. No, it needed it. It really did.
You think so?
I think so because I don't know if you saw all the extreme woke ads the military was pumping out over the past several years. Bro, we looked so weak.
Yes, we did.
It's not good. It was so bad. And I was just like, every time I saw those old ads, I was just like, or when they were going at the time, I was just like, how can anyone think
you should play one from the last 2 years. Try to find one and put it up.
I will try to do that here in a moment. But we have to get into the topic though.
Of course, but one last thing about that video, right? Is like the biggest draw that a lot of individuals saw in the dare I say, the conservative aspect about the video and the people who will be joining is that there were no women in that video. Not a single one. It was just men with guns
Fucking
running
shit up.
and jumping.
Yeah, dude. That's my kind of environment, dude.
I mean, to each their own.
I mean, you have to ask yourself, does that make you more gay? Because you're like, oh yeah, no chicks, just
dudes.
just dudes being dudes. Yeah, we slap ass and chest bump. What's up?
I don't agree with it personally. I don't like that they're fueling the young generation with propaganda to go fight and die for the country.
The country needed it though. I mean, they needed something to course correct. But I mean, I get where you're coming from.
I don't like propaganda.
I do
You
get
know
it.
that about me, and I'm
I
sure
know.
the fans do as well. I think propaganda is a very diabolical tool that they can use for evil. Very
But I
fast.
love Cheetos, dude. I see ads for Cheetos and stuff. I have to go buy them. Don't judge.
A little bit of styrofoam never hurt anybody, right?
Or moisture cleaner. Wait,
Wait, is that silica?
wait. It's like styrofoam meth.
That's exactly what it is.
Oh, I'm styrofoam schizo, dude.
But this I guess it sort of moves into the topic that we're talking, because the bells that people were hiding during World War I
And two.
and II is because they didn't want these bells to be used and melted into ammunition, into tanks and
Yeah.
whatnot. So people began to bury them, but then they started finding huge grave sites of thousands of bells.
Can I set the stage?
Please do.
Because I
please
got
do.
a deal, man. I got a deal. All right, so you're gonna like this one. So let's really open the door to this correctly. So let's say you're digging a hole, maybe for a fence post, maybe for a foundation. Nothing unusual, right? But then your shovel hits something solid, right? It's not a rock. It's not a pipe. You don't know what it is. It's just metal. And then as you uncover it slowly, you know, it's like rusted, kind of like, I guess ornate would be the right word for that, you know, like rusted and ornate. And then it's like almost shaped like a helmet, but clearly it's a bell. Well, it's not just any bell. It's a huge one and it's buried super deep. And guess what? You're not the first to have this happen at all. So across Asia, Europe, and even parts of North America, people have been finding ancient bells underground. Not recently buried church bells, mind you. We're talking ritual bells, Bronze Age instruments, decorated artifacts, guys, like some thousands of years old. That's what we're talking about. And in many cases, no one can explain, well, why they were there in the first place, like, or how long have they actually been there? But that's not even the weirdest part.
It's not.
It's not. Because when you start looking closer at the bells, you know, how they were built, you know, where they were found, you know, what they might have been potentially used for, you begin to see a weird pattern happening. Well, a pattern that suggests that bells weren't just potentially musical instruments by any means. Not in the slightest. That, you know, they might have been, you know, tools that operated on sound, tools that resonated with the earth, maybe even tools that connected us to something else entirely that we don't even know about or we lost connection with. Well, then there's this thing with windows. You heard about that?
I have not.
So you've seen patterns in old churches.
I have,
right?
of course, the mosaics, right?
So those beautifully like symmetrical, like stained glass and all that stuff, those windows, you know, have also very strange, precise geometric shapes on them. Well, now compare them to cymatic frequency maps. I came across this in my research. That's why I wrote this up. Compare them to cymatic frequency maps. The patterns formed when sound vibrates through sand or water, they precisely match.
Yes.
And in some cases, perfectly, like just flawlessly. So the question is like, what does that mean? Were the architects of of those cathedrals building resonant chambers, right? Like tuned to a certain frequency, like where were bells the keys that unlocked those chambers, like to open those doors to allow you inside. Oh yeah, dude, I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's just mind blowing. But the thing is, it's like, or were they part of something older and something far more forgotten, like way forgotten? And so, like I was saying, in today's episode, we're gonna be following a pretty strange trail about buried bells, plain and simple. And pretty much, we're gonna be looking at what archaeologists found in like Chinese tombs, to like why Japanese farmers may have buried bells. I don't know if you heard, got into the Japanese side of things. Why they would have buried their bells on sacred hills too. Like no one's like, it's highly sacred to them. So it's like, you can't just go to these places, especially outsiders. No, you're like cut off from it. And so it's just like, why are entire cultures, creating like bell-shaped tools that were hidden underground? Like what's going on with that? So there's a lot of things about this that we're going to get into, from things that potentially like healing frequencies, that these bells were used for like healing people and healing yourselves, to disrupt or even potentially open gateways. And now that's my intro, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
I wanted to set the stage right. Like, let's ask these questions.
You mentioned the bells opening doorways. I know that may be a metaphorical concept, but
we're talking about legitimate doorways.
Do you mean in like legitimate, the bells would open up a door to another room?
We're talking about frequency technology. Instead of using, let's say you want to open an elevator, right? You go up to like a third floor or something. Well, you have to click the button, and you depend on electricity and mechanics.
Yep.
And moving parts to do the job for you. This is just sound, and it's all through a resonant chambered device, which are these massive bells.
We know that frequency in general is a very, very powerful healing and meditative sort of way to find balance within the world and within yourself and within lots and lots of other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cymatic charts that you mentioned that indicate frequency with symbolizes in sand with water is a very real thing. I strongly believe that the mosaics and the windows that were inside of churches and other buildings, take for instance, the train station in New York, I forget the name of the train station, the big famous one, at the top of my head right now, I forget it. That one used to have stained glass and a bell on top of it before 1939.
Yeah,
they have since removed all the stained glass and all the beautiful windows and murals. But you failed to mention Nazis.
Oh, I have all that in there too.
Because the Nazis took 175,000 bells.
They did.
And buried them.
Yeah. I wasn't getting into that part yet. That was just going to be part of because I have it broken into sections.
These bells are made of bronze and copper. And we know that copper is a healing metal. It is, you can eat it, you can wear it, it can grow plants with free fertilizer. It is a very healing and mental capacity building metal.
Yep.
Sacred metals, if you will, like gold and silver, so on and so forth.
That's why I'm going to have the best lawn in my neighborhood, dude. I'm getting there. I'm going to go steal grass from other places. Taking that from you.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just grab that, throw that shit on there with copper.
Yeah, absolutely.
That shit up, do electro gardening.
Just bury some copper in your yard with it.
Yeah, with a bell.
You can go to Truck Supply and go get yourself a 99% copper rod that's 6 feet tall that you can just shove in your yard.
Yeah,
and it will fertilize your entire property.
Dude, it works.
It's very cool.
I do want to pose a couple of weird questions.
Please do.
Just for the episode itself. So when I did my research on all of this, right, and I was going through and reading about everything, and then it was weird going through the research on this because I've never really truly dived into the ancient bells and bells being recovered and found and like all these things, especially found in places where there was no documented history of a civilization even being there. So how the hell did a bell that's massive, like the size of my house,
If
and I have
not bigger,
or if big, if not bigger, best way to put that, if not bigger, found itself over 500 miles from the closest known documented civilization in the history of that area.
I remember seeing a photo
You know?
of people in loincloths standing next to a enormous bell.
That was me, dude.
Oh,
Those are my balls.
you're very tan.
Dude, I was tan. I was using that tan.
That's
oil.
what happens when you travel through time using frequency arrangements and body swapping.
It's also what happens. You go into a nude beach and you put the little, you know how people use that little like
The metal,
yeah,
the
thing
glass.
to get it up on their skin, on their neck, so that gets tan. I just put it between my legs, dude.
Oh, I just wore a
That's
bodysuit made of it. It was like it was around my ankles and it was like 6 feet wide all the way around. It just makes me crisp as I walk. I look like beef jerky
it. Dude, I'm so turned on right now. That's awesome.
or like bacon, whatever the one.
But in all serious though, seriousness.
In all serious,
In all serious, guys. In all seriousness, though, like these questions. I was asking myself these questions. This is where my head went to as I kept reading through stuff and getting farther. I was like, were potentially some of these being buried in fear of something,
Yeah.
or hidden in some type of like reverence like concept, or was it suppressed for a reason that we don't fully know or understand?
Well, I think that
You
we
know?
do know that they were buried on purpose.
Yeah.
I
know. Yeah, obviously.
My immediate thought, as I
But the
mentioned,
reason for burying them. That's
my
what I'm trying to
immediate
get at.
thought earlier is that churches and other structures like that would hide their bells underground because they're melting them for war and they didn't agree with it, or the bell cost more than their entire building, so they want to hide it and bury it and say, no, you can't have this. That's where my thought goes immediately, because that's like hate the government, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, screw the
but-
government, dude. The government.
But the real aspect is we know now in the 21st century that frequency is very healing. They banned 142 hertz on the radio so that you can't get healed listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
Then most music nowadays is at like 97 hertz, which is like, I don't know, the bad frequency.
And they also have the healing frequency blocked.
Absolutely
By
right.
band. You're not illegally allowed to play that.
Yeah, I just
on the
mentioned
radio
that.
waves. Oh yeah, I know. Sorry, my bad. My brain keeps jumping back and forth because I was following you on that what you were just saying, and then I was like, the frequency, Medicare.
So they
Biden go back to bed.
they did not well, I say the governments and the powers that be did not want you to be able to have such frequency and healing and go into a church to heal your wounds and ailments. That's when they started ushering in medicine and all these different
And that's a
types of
big
concepts,
part of
right?
so many cultures.
It really is.
It's huge.
Yes. I mean, you can go to like a Buddhist temple and you'll hear those bowls being,
Yeah.
you know, and like if you go do yoga, they have these bowls all the time for healing frequencies.
Dude, I do that when I go to the bathroom. Sometimes it
You
helps
need
me
help.
come out.
You need
dude.
help.
Sometimes I need help. And that chocolate dragon's like, no, I don't want to go back to bed.
It's the brown frequency.
Yeah. The brown note, dude, it's real.
It's the real
dude,
one.
we already saw the episode of South Park. We know what happens. Everyone's going to crap themselves. But, you know, it's nature's natural laxative.
That's exactly right.
Bells. I'm just kidding. Sorry. I do have some key cases.
But
Oh,
why
sorry, keep
why
going.
would they have burial sites though? Like there's a file here that I found and it explains why the Nazis took 175,000 and why are they buried at one location. The photos that are about it, I don't know if you saw the photos,
I saw some.
are insane.
Yeah, I was going to pull up photos as we were going.
It's like as far as you can see, there are bells, just thousands and thousands of them.
Yeah,
all different
dude.
sizes made out of copper and bronze. It is insane to look at.
No one's got steel.
Yeah, well, those melted down to.
Probably for a reason. I'm talking about in history. If you look, there's no steel bells.
Well, yeah, I mean, bells, steel is not a natural.
That's the mark of the
occurring-
beast that they be talking about, right?
That's fair. I can dig that.
Maybe
I
it
can dig
is.
666, baby. Steel, steel, steel. Wait, I
What-
think we're onto something, dude.
That's burglary.
What?
Wait, no, theft. You said steal, dude.
Steal-
steal,
oh,
steal,
yeah.
steal. 666. That's
There-
a sin, dude.
there's
You're
more-
sinning 3 times in a row. In
the camera on
digits
you?
of 6. No, I kept it on you. Digits of 6. Now it's back on you.
But and then so as I mentioned previously, you have copper, gold, silver, which is all natural forming elements, so it's already in tuned with Earth's frequency. So that's why they had these at churches. I remember as a young man going to a Southern Baptist church, and the way you would go in and you would hear a bell whenever the church was starting, right? It'd make bang, 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 or whatever it sounded
Dong,
like. Yeah.
dong, dong, dong,
Which
dong.
is a calming tone to get you into the spirit of prayer and worship.
It's weird because in all my stuff when I was reading about this is that the use of bells in modern time is really just to signify it's 12 o'clock or like a time of the day. And yes, like in the dogmatic side of things, it could represent like, oh, this is the prayer hour, or this, depending on the religion or dogma that you subscribe to, that it could mean something different. But it's never something that's like some type of like advanced or lost, like really something important, like something that would heal you, or maybe to, I don't know, move giant blocks and build pyramids with, because I mean, that's just me just talking out loud here, because if we know it can do these things, and we, especially with like stained glass windows. Oh, and one other thing, the reason why we're doing this topic is because we got an email from a new listener, and he's been like deep diving our podcast. I'm not going to say his name because he didn't have like a handle. It was his actual name, so I'm not going to say that. But I'll just call him
his first name.
I'm going to call him Cooper. Coopy. Coop. Love you, Coop. Thank you, Coop. But anyways, Coop sent us an email.
What was that?
Stuff happened, dude. But Coop sent his email, and he was like, you guys should do an episode on, like ancient bells and things like that. And I was like, because I was working on a different topic at the beginning of this week. And then I was just like, nah, let's do it.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it.
So can we talk about the largest bell that was ever found?
Sure. Go ahead.
It weighed 294 tons.
What is it? What was the bell called? Do you know?
Well, you're not gonna be able to spell this motherfucker. I tell you that right now.
Well, It's
called the Great Bell of Daimazaidi. It's from Myanmar. Dhammazedi.
I love predictive text, dude.
Predictive. Yeah. So if you click on images, this was made in 1408.
All right,
1484 in Myanmar. It's reportedly the largest bell ever made. It's 294 tons. It was stolen in 1608 by Portuguese warlord Felipe de Brito.
No shit.
It sank their boat.
We're gonna need a bigger boat. But yeah, no. These are the pictures of it right here that he's talking about. So
that one right there. That's like specifically. It's an artist's rendition to painting or drawing.
Yeah. Still cool though.
This thing was massive, and again in 1484, Ben.
Mm-hmm. Dude, it's insane.
1484.
I know, long ass time ago. The fact that dude, there's a lot of that. In fact, I have more. What's the best way to put it? Mind-boggling.
So
discoveries.
But before we go into that, I read an article about it in a research paper that said the tone of it is a beautiful healing tone based on the size and the circumference and the material it's made out of. But then you ask AI, you ask Grok, you ask ChatGPT about this great bell of Daimazaidi, and it says it had a poor tone and was poorly constructed. Right? AI is now beginning to falsify history and falsify things that are known to be true.
I know. I've noticed that.
It's very scary. Everybody uses AI nowadays to teach them what's happening. You go on to any sort of X post and someone's like, you should eat raw eggs. This is why it's so good for you. This book was from 150 years ago saying that you should eat raw eggs because it does all this to you. And then the first comment will say, at Grok, is this real?
I know. I hate that crap, dude.
If you have lost your power and your brain and your thought process to where you can't critically think for yourself, you are becoming nothing but a crony just going through the world, having these super companies tell you what to think.
Yeah.
But enough about my rant about AI, because people will be marrying AI robots in our lifetime. Mark my word. And they're already making these humanoids, and all they got to do is add some sort of fuckable device. I know R.A. Cisco will be all about that. Ryan's going to love those sex robots.
So I'm going to show some pictures here. So I want to say that, Ryan, go get yourself that sex robot. You know you want it. But secondly, I'm going to give a couple of like I'm going to list 3 like really key kind of like cases about like these bells that have been discovered. So I'm going to butcher saying this, but Chinese bianzhong bells. So I'm going to pull up Edge real quick and let you guys see that. So it's pulling up a bunch of different ones. But basically these were discovered in 1978 in the tomb of Marquise Yi or Yai.
I think you got it right.
Of Zheng in the Hubei province in China. And they're dating back to 433 BC.
That one's fucking crazy.
Old, yes. Bro. And that's during the Warring States period or whatever. So like this is, dude.
It's beyond sophisticated.
Yeah, it's a set of 64 bronze bells arranged in 3 tiers. And then the acoustic precision on them was that each of these bells can emit 2 distinct tones based on strike position. So, it would do a range of like 5 octaves, and it's basically comparable to a full Western orchestra. It literally produces the same thing essentially. And now they say that they believe the purpose of these were for like ceremonial court music and stuff like that. But this really just demonstrates they had a very advanced understanding of acoustics and metallurgy over basically 2,400 years ago.
You want to know the craziest thing about it?
What was that?
With all of our technology and knowledge we have today, we are unable to replicate it. We cannot copy these bells that they made in 433 BCE, where they apparently were savages.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, they may not have had TikTok and Instagram and the luxuries that we have of vehicles and television, but I think that they might have been a little bit more intelligent than us.
Yeah.
Over the years, over the centuries, I guess I should say, we have become absolute dotards in comparison to our ancestors, building things that heal you. The meditation powers that you are able to gain from this is significantly better than any sort of deprivation tank you can go hop into.
Yeah. This one, speaking of, you know how like deprivation tanks are really good for you, right? Well, this next one, the Japanese dōtaku bells. Did I say that right? Dōtaku?
I think so.
Bells. So I'm going to pull an image of them up right here. So this is what they look like. These are very interesting. You know how we were just talking about electro gardening, right?
Yeah.
And how that helps the plants grow and like do all these things, and it's like a natural fertilizer. And now your strawberry plant, without electro gardening, only got, even if you were taking care of it, it didn't matter. It was only be robust up to here. It's only going to grow up to this point. Well, these things, it's like to me, it really seems like, especially from reading about them, that they are essentially a harmonic form of electro gardening.
They're wind chimes.
So, yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
Some were big, though.
Oh, yeah.
And they were put in the earth. And they would be rung in the earth.
What?
Yeah, like they would dig, like in one of them, they would dig, they would dig a hole, and they would ring the bell down in this like hole that they would put down. And they would lower it down, and that's where they would ring it. And they would do that harmonically for basically helping agricultural, like
Dude,
they're basically,
what the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah, so these things are from Yayo or some yo-yo. I love yo-yos. Yayo period in Japan. So this is 300 BCE to 300 CE. These were in the main rotation.
What are they made of? Do you know?
Thin bronze.
Okay,
and
so another natural element
with elongated. Obviously you can see in the pictures, elongated like form with these arch tops. So and they always had engravings of like animals, crops, and like natural, like kind of like what's the word, motifs, or or
Forgive me, bronze is not natural, so they had to make this.
Yeah, I know. That means they knew metallurgy very well.
Yeah.
But get this. So these were discovered. They were frequently discovered in unearthed in remote mountain regions, and most of the time they were buried. And they weren't near where they even knew that, like in Japan, where someone actually resided. Like usually you would find evidence. There would be some type of evidence to show that, someone lived there. There used to be like a little town or a village or something. These were found in places that's like, no one ever lived here. No one lived in this place. How are these naturally just here? And they're deep in the ground.
That's not how that works.
Yeah. Well, basically, they're said to be used for agricultural ritual tools.
That I believe.
That's it. And it was supposed to, the whole consensus is that they were used like electro gardening.
Yeah,
essentially.
I definitely believe that. I mean,
yeah.
If you are able to attune your body to the frequency of the earth, because we know that the earth has a frequency, then you're going to be more in tune, and you're going to be healing and thinking better and doing all these things just better. So why don't you just put that towards your plants? It just makes sense.
Yeah, no shit. And I want to say, give a little bit of context about just this whole ancient, like buried and just discovered bells in general. A lot of the time, for, I guess you could say, in air quotes, historical context, right? If history is correct, that's if it's correct, because we already know that history is written by the victor, right? Mm-hmm. So for all we know, it's already kind of showing that there are certain things in history we know probably didn't play out the way they did. In modern time, we're learning about that now. Well, basically, a lot of things with these bells and like them being buried and all these stuff really correlated with like, usually when there's like some big impactful thing that happened, like a society type change, some type of like war, like heavy war conflict. It's World War II,
yeah,
World War I, right? But we're talking about even farther back, right? Way back in time. Or like some type of like, if a new religion, if there's like a religious type transition and a new religion took over. So think like, this made me think of like Genghis Khan. When Genghis Khan went and like conquered and did all that stuff. Well, they either assimilated to his shit or get the fuck out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Or you're done. Well, that just makes you think that he, that would be considered that, something like that would be like a religious transition. But also, obviously attached to war as well, like some type of conflict. So it's all wild. And this is just like us just painting the stage here about bells, not anything juicy.
Yeah, we're just sort of like combing over the surface, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you were able to find a copper bell from 300 BC, I think that should set some
rich, dude.
I think not even that. It should set some alarms off.
It really should.
Because we don't have those nowadays. You can go to your local little hippie store and they'll have a bell, but it's made out of steel.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah. Sorry, I was about to go into the whole other thing of like, why did they take that away? Was it doing something good for people? Where they couldn't charge people for, my bad. Where they couldn't charge people for medicine, money.
Of course.
Monopolization, control it. You know what I mean? That's where my brain wants to go to.
That's it. You have every right to go there.
Because, yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. But I will say this, though, that have you heard of like Bell Beaker culture?
No.
So this took place in Europe, and it was basically, it was more of like from what I was reading about, it's more of like a less direct evidence of like sound use, right? But the bell-shaped pottery, they had like tons of bell-shaped pottery, and the artifacts all those artifacts only appeared in burials, but they were like pottery bells. It's weird. But that is a part of all of this old like ancient bell stuff, and it just came up when I was like searching.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, I was trying to find more, but it's weird because they say that the sound producing tools, when present, supposedly were obviously were rare, but were apparently linked to elite individuals or shamans. So they would make these like pottery bells only for these elite people. never for just like the peasant or just some middle class
Well, of course
person
not.
back in the day or whoever they be labeled as.
It's like nowadays with stem cell research in hyperbaric chambers,
I
right?
want the stemmies.
I mean, you could go do it. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But I mean, also like hyperbaric chambers. Those are a real thing nowadays. You can go lay inside of a perfectly sealed tomb, if you will, and heal your body quickly. It's the same concept, but now it's just we're using science and technology as compared to just filling a room with the perfect frequency to heal your ailments. Same concept.
Yeah. And what I find really fascinating, and this is kind of more on like the like acoustic and the vibrational type of thing, side of it, were the frequencies from these specific handcrafted bells, mind you. The knowledge of metallurgy in this, especially how old this shit is wild.
Not even to mention the designs.
Oh, yeah. And that was like nothing. What I showed was nothing. I got way cooler stuff I'm going to be popping up and be like, what the fuck is that?
Could you imagine?
That's a dragon. It's flying at me.
Play in my space for me just for a second.
Yeah.
Imagine we are a intergalactic traveling species. We are going through the cosmos, landing on different planets and facilitating them and taking their resources and growing as a population on different planets and solar systems. We come across another species doing the same thing, but they use bells, the frequencies to power their ships and power their minds to travel instead of us humans who use AI to heal our bodies and feed
and respond
us.
to social media posts.
Exactly.
Ryan, you got to stop, dude. Oh, sorry, Ryan.
But that would be a fascinating thing. That's what. Do you remember that cigar shape UFO that people talked about, the Omurafu or whatever? It looked like
that's a mouthful.
I forget the name of it.
Same with a cigar. But yeah.
Yeah. But if it's a rock shaped, then it could easily have been manipulated by frequencies to become this shape, and then just hollow it out and travel through it.
Man, I gotta figure out how people knew what Dwayne Johnson looked like back in the day.
I'm telling you, dude.
Dude, that's like before he was even born, dude.
Could you imagine seeing Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson statue flying through space?
I'd be like, who brought the set of Black Adam out here?
Why?
What is going on?
He is bigger than the Empire State Building. He is zooming.
He's the Rock, dude. Now that's a Rock.
Now that's a Johnson, dude.
Oh, but he's got a little Dwayne.
See, now that's a play on words.
Dude, I can be funny sometimes. Come on.
Proud of you, Ben.
Thanks, dude. I graduated. I'm in like pre-K now. Like, fuck yeah,
First grade.
Nah, dude, I was in that. What is that? How kids can go to like, or not? What is that school called where you can like
Montessori school?
Yeah, dude. I graduated from Montessori school, and I'm in official pre-K.
I'm proud of you,
dude. I know colors. Let's go. But no, on the frequency side though, they were saying that these specific bells that these people, like different cultures created, and we're talking about the bells that they've uncovered from like that are 2,000 years old. According to like old like scrolls and scribes and things like that, basically they were used for, get this, mending bones.
What the fuck?
They would use frequencies of bells, of particular bells. They would have you go and be like underneath one of these giant bells. So think of it as like I kept picturing like an operating table.
Yeah.
Like at a hospital. And they bring you in and they have a giant bell that's mounted, kind of like in that picture you saw that you had me pull up, right? Where it's suspended up in the air. And they would have, but it up high enough, obviously, and they would have you go underneath and you would be laying down. And there would be like, different whatever people who do whatever it is.
Bellman.
And apparently, yeah. And they wouldn't just hit the bell. They
Bunch
would
of bell boys.
They would like basically hit it particularly, and the resonating frequency apparently would mend bones. That is the concept. That is what is in some of these these scroll scribes, like this old ancient stuff that people, archaeologists and
that's
historians
insane to hear.
Yeah, and it blows my mind because they talk about like the physical ailments, like they specifically mention mending bones.
Do you have a text or a link that anybody can go to? Or?
Yes, I will get that and I'll throw it into the chat here shortly. Thank you for reminding me of that. I was about to completely breeze over it.
You should click us live over here so it's up to date.
It's up to date. It's up to date.
But-
Up to date. Yeah, it's up to date.
To be able to lay under something that's going to vibrate with frequency to heal your broken bones.
Yeah, in modern time, the only thing that vibrates that people want to be around them is the dildos. Dude.
Oh,
Or butt plugs, dude.
Oh no!
Got that glam game on the
Camera
back,
on
too.
you, please.
Wait,
Camera
wait,
on you,
oh,
please.
Sorry. Sorry, my bad.
Get
dude.
that camera off of me.
It's not on you. It's on me right now. Psych. It's not. Now it's back on me. Anyways, as you were saying though, the vibration, not dildos. We're talking about other things. You please go.
Fucking hell. Yeah. Could you imagine being in like 400 BC? Well, okay, hold on, because it's going to be natural to them. It's going to be normal to them to go send grandma who just fell and broke her hip to go lay underneath a gigantic bell that's 500 tons to heal her body. That'll be normal.
Yeah. Well, I know, and it's really weird because when I was reading about like, because you just used a good example saying like, oh, a grandma go over here and then use the bell, right? Like, my question is that like, wait, if these things were used for solving physical ailments like broken bones, emotional issues, like, you know, you've got like they do it for like emotional healing and things. Oh yeah, and like obviously there's the spiritual ones in there too for like spiritual purification, stuff like that. But the other was for just strict meditation, and it wasn't necessarily that is different from the healing. It was used for strict meditation. And one of the things I was reading about, it was talking about where they would, and this is across many cultures. This isn't just one particular culture. So I'm not going to name just one. It's a bunch of them, like so many. There was like 15.
Wow.
Like where they would use bells frequency, these giant bell frequency. And when I say giant bells, I'm talking about ones the size of us. Not necessarily the size of a house.
I would consider one that's 6 foot tall, 250 pounds of muscle to be.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm jacked.
6'5".
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 7 foot tall.
No wonder.
285 pounds of muscle bell ringing, dude.
Well, dude, what the hell is the fucking pro football player doing here? What's going on here? But no, in all serious though, it's like they didn't just use it for those things, but there was also the aspect of with the meditation side, you would have to be at a certain stage of your meditation, and they would ring particular bells at a particular frequency that would then propel you into an extremely deeper meditative state. And everything they described in it made me think of a DMT trip.
Huh.
And which blinds out because a lot of people, when they meditate using like theta waves or delta waves, particular frequencies, they achieve those
they
weird
hallucinate, right?
hallucinated states. So it's like that was like their way of doing really cool drugs without doing drugs. See, they're the original DARE officers that came to school, dude.
Drugs are bad, okay?
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure to throw that in there because it's just mind-boggling.
So why do you think they would bury him? Like, let's get to the nitty-gritty here. Why would they bury these healing sounding mechanisms?
You really want to know?
I do want to know why.
All right. This is the conspiracy side of my brain takes over.
Bring it on.
Tartaria.
Yeah, dude.
This makes me link because
it screams Tartaria.
It does. It screams the Tartarian civilization if it was real, which I'm inclined to think there was something.
I mean, with Jack over there at the observation lounge,
Mhm.
that is a reoccurring concept. Is that bells and frequency and copper balls and all of these different natural formations of metal to use as healing and power and technique. It just makes sense.
It does.
It all comes together to make.
And that's where my brain goes.
Yeah.
That's where it went so many times when
Me too.
I was digging into this. I was like, damn it, we should just call this Tartarian bells. Found at last.
We should have called Jack to come back on and talk about
Yeah,
bells.
no crap. I miss that guy.
Me
He's
too.
awesome. But yeah, and to go a step farther, now this is a way. It still has to do with Tartaria, right? To elaborate on where my brain goes conspiracy wise is that if it were to be removed, because obviously something happened if the Tartarian civilization existed, and like mind you, this is my conspiracy side of my brain running wild. It's got full control of the wheel, and it's like, okay, well, if the Tartarian civilization was taken out, right, and removed, and they were very advanced, and they were building things with advanced technology, not like the technology we have now. Well, that would explain a lot of different builds in architecture because, case in point, you look at all the old school cathedrals and the old school buildings in like the UK, all across Europe, all that crap, Russia, China, you name it. We already know that mud floods obviously probably happen. Obviously mud floods happened because there are pictures that show that the base of that building is much lower. It's hidden. And it makes me wonder if either a cataclysmic event happened and it just wiped out the shit.
Ooh, and it makes me wonder.
Yeah. Or it wasn't a cataclysmic event, but a orchestrated event.
Yeah.
From obviously
the powers that be.
Whatever powers that be at the time. And everything was wiped away. That we lost it all, like a reset. And a lot of dude, I came across doing this research, a lot of people who were diving into the concept of basically the reset that happened. That is what we're approaching again, because we screwed up as a species again. Not necessarily, I'm not talking about aliens necessarily. You can call them whatever you want, some type of higher power, whatever. But I'm just saying that obviously there have been many resets on this planet, whether it have been natural or by an unknown force that with intent, and not just natural. So it's like, I don't know. My brain then spiderwebs and it breaks like fractured glass.
Well,
right?
I mean, that also plays into the Egyptian mindset as well. There's a lot of concepts and conspiracies that go about saying that they used bells to help form these sandstone blocks and move them using water to push them along to a location. So that would play into the
pyramids.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that would play into the Tartarian aspect as well, right? Because if all of these buildings and all of these chambers and all of these locations are looking similar in design with peaks and shapes and cymatic charts, I mean, if there's 10 things that happen together, I'm inclined to believe it to be real.
Listen, guys, if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a dog.
Oh shit!
Wait, it's a duck. But no, really, it would be a
right. I mean, if all of these things coincide together, it's not happenstance. It's not a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they're teaching you in school, what they're teaching you on the internet, what the AI overlords are telling you are more than likely not true. Go buy a book made in like 1750 and read that bad boy. I'm sure it's going to have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Contradicting arguments to what we're being taught today.
Yeah. Well, you brought up World War II earlier, and I have some stuff on World War II. I'm actually on my part of my notes on that. And so during the Nazi occupation of everything going on, there was thousands.
175,000.
Yeah. And you had said the number earlier. I didn't write the number down because I'm an idiot. But across Europe were like legit confiscated, melted down for armament production. That did happen for sure. And a lot of people are trying to prevent it, right? Because people are going and taking something that's been there a long time. It's culturally sensitive to them, blah, blah, blah. And obviously took extraordinary measures to basically remove the bells from bell towers and basically bury them in secret locations to keep them safe. That did happen. Not every bell that's been dug up was some, whoa, is this lost technology? Probably, dude. No, not every bell was. But, so like here's a case in point, Poland. That is a rediscovered bell. Because that one was basically a monk buried a large bronze church bell to prevent it from falling into German hands. And it was rediscovered fully intact roughly 80 years later.
What the fuck?
Yeah. The bell, basically how the preservation of it basically essentially became like a symbol of some type of like a cultural like resistance, or reverence for sacred sound and all that stuff in in Poland. So it's really interesting. So that's the stuff I have. I have more stuff on World War II, but that it comes and goes as I go through my notes.
I have something I want to read here that I found from a website called bells.org.
Oh.
It's a website that it celebrates bells. It's U.S. government funded. Let's keep that in mind. But this paragraph here says the Nazis graded or categorized bells into 4 groups, A through D, based on their historical or cultural value. A bells were cast within the preceding 90 years and therefore generally considered without merit, meaning nothing. Those can be smelted down into weapons of war.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first to be destroyed. Similarly, B bells and then C bells were sent for smelting as well. D bells are those that were casted before 1740. So let's keep this in mind real quick. D bells that were casted before 1740 were treated like art and commodities and preserved for noble virtues. So those 175,000 bells were all built before 1740.
Oh, yeah. So how old are they really?
That's the question, right? And those other 3 preceding categories.
We should become archaeologists. Come on.
And let's
go.
And those other 3 preceding categories, how many did they break down? How many did they destroy? That number is lost to time, of course, but
yeah,
I imagine there was more, about like 500,000. That is my rough, very uneducated guess.
This is like one of those topics where it's like the more you explore it, the more questions that don't get answered. You know,
so
like,
175,000 bells before 1740.
That's a lot of bells, dude.
Yeah, that was just from the surrounding countries around Germany as well.
Yeah. Well, think about and then of course, let's think about the unexplained, like discoveries, right? Like, or accidental discoveries, of which these are like anomalies, right? Where bells with no accompanying structure or known historical reference have been found buried in fields or heavily dense forested areas.
Yep.
So get this about the forested area ones, and this has happened many times across Greece, Europe, Greece, Europe, Russia, pretty much United States as well, by the way. I should rephrase that. North America in general. We're talking Canada as well. Basically, in South America, literally the entire fucking world. The reason that they even discovered those bells is because, get this. So those trees in one of the areas were massive trees. We're talking like 60-foot tall, 80-foot tall trees. We're talking about tree trunks on these bitches that, like, you couldn't even put your arms all the way around these trees. So imagine a tree that big and the roots it's got going. It's got some heavy roots. It's been there a long time. Well, those trees, as they keep growing into the soil, well, the trees are rising up because it was hitting something massive that wasn't moving, and it wasn't breaking either. Oh, we just discovered a massive bell because they looked into why is the trees randomly starting to arc over and come out of the ground and expose its roots like it's getting literally pushed up.
Yeah, lifted out of the ground.
Because also you have to take it in fact, it's not just roots, it's also like shifting plates, the earth, soil shifts.
It's crazy. I wish there was an explanation.
I really do.
Other than hidden technology and
no one has an explanation.
Falsified history.
Yeah, no one has any explanation because they're like,
other than we smelted it for war.
Yeah. Oh, that. But these anomaly ones, which there's hundreds of them, where there is no documentation ever existing that would even indicate in history that there was a civilization or a town or a village anywhere near this area because it was not inhabitable. Like, the trees were so old, if you cut it and you like see the light, how old the tree is, some of these trees are fucking old.
Yeah, hundreds of years, right?
Yeah, untouched. And they're just, where the fuck the bell come from? Probably came from Hollow Earth, dude. And they're pushing it out. They're like, oh, light bulb burnt
It's
out.
the aliens sending up their trash.
Sending out the trash, dude. Aw.
Have you heard about the Pocahontas bell?
That
was in Jamestown.
I don't think I came across that one.
So it was built in 1907. This thing was 500 pounds. Dude. So the Resolute bell cast in the Foundry's 500 pattern with a 29-inch diameter consists of 500 pounds of bell metal, an 18-pound clapper, and 39 pounds of fittings for a total of 515 pounds. It sounded in a C note, a natural C note. Now, those of you who play music and know music, the C note is very calming and very nice and soft and pleasant to hear. The bell was then shipped from the Foundry in 1907 and landed in Jamestown. An inscription cast into the bronze bell for the observer's spelling of a Pocahontas reads, "The Pocahontas bell," and then it's in another language, "The Pocahontas bell And then it has people who built it, where it came from, all these different things. Apparently, it has gone missing.
Yeah. So I'm going to add another thing into this. It's not directly on what you were talking about, but it's like segue
Camera?
related. So camera, thanks, buddy. So we were talking about, or sorry, after what you were saying, so here's a good question. I'm just going to throw this question at you. Can AI driven like models of ancient bells recreate the original tones and their supposed effects?
Absolutely
right?
not.
They can't even recreate the
absolutely
tones
not.
at all. And in fact, they've tried to recreate the tones of some of these old school giant bells that were discovered, a long time ago or remotely recently in comparison to when they went buried at some point.
Within 100 years, right?
Yeah. No one's been able to recreate it in any capacity. Like they can get kind of close, but they can't do all the distinct, like heavy hertz that it's producing. And it's weird because some of them, like you could, like you've seen the videos where they use sound to make shapes in water and do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to kind of play on to also previously what we were talking, I think you had brought it up about using it as like a tool, right? Like to like move things and do all that stuff. Well, these bells, apparently when some of the ones that were discovered, when they would ring them, you could literally see everything change around it because it's like you could see the sound waves.
It's like whenever you take hallucinogens and you can see the walls move.
Yeah, and the more there was one
Camera.
I just switched it to you because you were talking.
I just said one brief thing.
Oh, well then it's back to me. Thanks, dude. But one thing that was interesting I came across was they were saying that in certain areas, this is based off South America, right? They said that they, found a bell down there or whatever, and they're saying that if you are around the bell long enough, when they were messing with it, apparently everyone started feeling funny. Well, it's like, well, yeah, you got a bunch of vibrational currents going through your body.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious what tone was going. Like, what was the actual frequency you were getting hit with? That I did not see anywhere in there.
It was a drop D power chord.
Dude, it was the brown. Doom guy. Shit.
Would you mind shouting out our sponsors while I go to the bathroom?
Yeah, I got you. Let's give a shout out to Bad Cat Studios. I'm going to switch the camera over to Evan's side because you can see it in the background. But that cool little art piece that's over there, his mic arm slightly away. It's like the little triangle. Bad Cat made that for us. They got some cool stuff. We always put the links for their stuff in our episode releases. And also shout out to Dustin Peck and David Southern for our awesome intro song. So there, I did the plug-in like you wanted. Now, let's get into some good stuff, guys. Like, let's get into the juice because there are significantly more insane things about this. And I know that maybe to a common listener or someone who's never really, maybe you're not into this topic, but you should take at least a moment and think about what's being laid out here. And this is all we're just going through the facts. And what's being documented when these things are found, and basically it's kind of turning to this thing where there is something bigger behind this. Whether or not knowing what that is gets complicated, obviously, but there's obviously something more because we already know for a fact that frequency can be used as a tool in a litany of different things. So, with that being said, where is it? I've got this. Let me pull this up real quick. So, I think this is the right one. There it is, right here. So, there it is. Sorry for that. I was trying to get to this part in my notes. So, this is really doing about like frequency engineering. So, the metallurgic precision and the resonant engineering in the antiquity, so like let's talk about like the casting, or casting methods and the alloy composition. Like we're talking like bells like the Chinese I'm gonna butcher that word, bianzhong, and European church bells was literally often forged from a very complex bronze alloy with specific ratios designed to enhance vibrational stability. And we're talking about bells that go back to, but like 200, 300, 400, 500 BCE. So it's just like, how did they have that knowledge to do that? Because that's like a knowledge that no one really knows nowadays, because we can't even replicate it properly. So it's like we obviously lost something on that. Oh, sorry. I'll turn time back over to you, Evan.
Que
I have to do
paso,
something.
mi amigos?
I was on a roll too.
What
I was
were you-
actually getting into some juicy stuff.
What were you rolling on?
Molly's, dude.
Yes, that's so funny. Oh, well, hello, everybody. I just abruptly changed and derailed the show because I came back from the pee-pee room. I had to take a potty break, and now I'm back, baby. Hope everybody enjoyed the time that you had with Ben, because it's now just me. Grab me one too, would you? Yeah, I don't know what to say to y'all. I don't know where he was or where we were.
I was talking about frequency engineering.
I don't know shit. And this is what happens when you do a live podcast and live show, everybody. Sometimes things just don't go according to plan, huh? Thank you, good sir. Thank you, good sir.
You're welcome.
What the hell's frequency engineering?
I was talking about like casting methods, alloy composition.
Oh, gotcha.
I was starting it.
Okay.
So basically, I was talking about like I was using like the bells like Chinese bianzhong and the European church bells. I know I already clarified.
One of my
listening,
favorite things
probably
that we
butcher
do
it.
on this show is have you say other languages in general. Just a name from another language is one of my favorite things that we do on this show.
Oh yeah,
Because you can't ever do it right, and it's very funny to me.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, dude. I'm great at it. I'm like the best.
He's the best around. No one's gonna ever keep him down. He's the best
I'm the greatest
around.
Sorry, I have to finish saying this because what I was pointing out is that the
Camera?
the complex bronze alloys with all this like very specific ratios designed to enhance vibrational stability. And I was basically explaining like we can't even recreate them. We lost that capability somehow to an extent.
Yeah.
Because there's a huge disconnect because all of the ratios straight up reflect very advanced, and undocumented knowledge of material science, essentially, right? So like balancing tin, lead, and copper to shape how sound waves interact within this bell when it's actually used. Like the metallurgy is like such a important keynote to making these bells do what they do. Because if you made a bell out of like pure nickel,
it's not going to sound good at
it's
all.
not going to sound good at all. You do it out of pure steel.
It might
It's
sound
not-
good on your guitar, but it's not going
Yeah.
to sound good as a bell.
But it's not going to sound good if it's all steel.
No, absolutely
No,
not.
not even a little bit.
And that's what we have nowadays, right? Is steel
Yeah.
bells.
And yeah.
well, you can go buy copper bells, I'm sure, but it's just not going to be the same. The metals and the way they did it was so advanced that this one guy, Jamie Freeman, I don't know if you did any research on him, but he's done countless years of research on these bells.
I feel like bells were like an old school way of controlling a herd.
No, I like that. I like that
Yeah.
a lot.
Because one particular reason is because when you look into like harmonic pairing of what these bells are capable of doing, and like because it goes into like this weird harmonic pairing and like sympathetic resonance that happens. So basically like bells that emit multiple, that do emit like the multiple true tones, like the Chinese ones
Yeah.
and things like that. And there's many others other than the Chinese. I'm just using that because I mentioned it already. It heavily implies that this like very intentional design is to interact essentially with all surrounding harmonic structures. And well, your body is a harmonic. Your brain is, and your ear canals, all these things. And when you look at how they built their structures there, it's very interesting because I came across this deal where they were talking about if you look at like old Chinese structures and where bells were at one point, they're not there now. When these bells were rung on these old school structures, have been there forever, the sound waves didn't go in the building. It like reverberated through the streets.
I love that.
So it sounds to me like that was like an old school way of using crowd control. potentially. Like maybe they had multiple uses. Maybe it wasn't always all good.
I imagine not.
You
I
know what I
imagine it
mean?
was a lot of like, hey, it's time to go to bed, or hey, it's time to go to the market. Is a way to quell the anger. That's a very valid point, because if everybody can hear it outside, who is hooting and hollering and screaming and yelling, it's like a microwave gun at its finest, right?
Because it's interesting. Because if you look in the cultures, you know how a lot of Asian cultures have paper doors,
Yes, they do.
paper walls, but none of the higher ups do.
Really?
No, they all have the giant heavy doors that they go behind.
Oh, oh my God! I didn't even think about
So
that.
it sounds to me like they're culling a herd. It's how they control a mass. I've not saying that all bells. I'm saying that potentially certain bells may have been used for rallying.
For manipulation.
Yeah.
Huh.
Like keeping people in line. Like think about it. Like if you had slaves doing stuff, it's like.
Because I know that modern technology, there are motors that
I feel like I did something to get your brain.
you did.
Moving,
You absolutely did.
bro.
Because I know that modern technology, like motors for AC units or motors for HVAC systems, they produce a frequency inside of, say, grocery stores that make you want to spend money.
Yeah.
It's a silent, very well. You will not notice it if you weren't like having a tachyometer or whatever it's called to measure the frequency waves.
Yeah.
It's like this silent frequency that makes you want to buy things and do things.
I've always, digging into this, because you bringing that up, it just made me think of something I thought of previously, and it had to do with grocery stores. Like, when you go into a store and there's always music playing,
Oh yeah.
there's some type of sound. But if you notice that the speakers in the store are always this weird quality speaker where it can only output a certain hertz.
Low quality.
Yeah. Maybe to keep you, like what you were saying. That's where my brain went too. I was just chiming in with it because my brain went there previously as a way to keep you. I don't know how to finish that sentence properly.
Make you dull and numb and like zombie like.
Yeah, it's like, no, I want to get this, or like you. I'm gonna save that for the end. I'm gonna keep this and save it for the end because it's a very weird conspiracy.
Can we play a tone to make them subscribe and like us and share us? Oh God!
I'm sorry.
The ASMRs.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah.
We've got a lot of requests for doing an ASMR podcast.
Ryan, stop making bogus accounts.
He's making. I was gonna say boof accounts, but
Like,
that's not the right word.
Dude, we already sent you like 3 Antonio Banderas blow-up dolls.
What else do
Can't
you
help
need?
you. Yeah,
What
dude.
else do you need, dude?
Like, I expected at least a female one in there, but no, you're like, no, make it bigger and more plumpy.
Oh my God!
And then he responded with, more cushion for the pushing. Sons of bitches.
Son of a
Ryan,
bitch.
Son of a bitch. But so get this. Let's talk about. Let's get into the architectural kind of like the sound amplification that they used in their structures. So churches, temples, burial mounds, bro. And you know how like you go to a cemetery and there's like a where they have like a concrete building, right? And then it's like or like a whole family's in there in these like concrete tombs, right? Did you know that those old school, I'm talking about old school ones, not ones built recently, within the past 200 years. We're talking 500 years back, 500 years plus. All of them, the majority of them in these certain, countries, all have a harmonic frequency.
I believe it.
And that is for apparently keeping the dead where they're supposed to be.
Ooh.
Not allowing spirits to leave. Because there was like I literally came across, and how I even came across it was accidental. I was just reading about, one of them was Japan, one was China has stuff like that, Greece has stuff like that, Israel's got it.
Wow.
Like the works. Yeah, Israel. Well, I say Israel. It's where if you look the old school map, you look at the old school stuff where the boundaries were. It's not the same as it is now.
I expected I expected the Japanese to do that. They
were heavily on it. Heavy on it.
They're heavily on it.
They were heavenly.
They are very spiritual in nature and very calming in nature. They want to appease and make everything calming, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And the Chinese are very spiritual in nature as well. So that makes sense why they would think the spirit needs to be quelled and calmed.
Yeah.
The Greek, that's surprising to me. The Israel one is also surprising. I'd be curious to see what other countries and other civilizations did that in the past.
I'm going to give you a good one then, because this has to do with Japan. You know the infamous suicide force.
Of course.
Well, I was trying to try to find any pictures of it because I
Without Logan Paul in it.
Way to go, Logan. Log Ann. But no, like basically, bells supposedly. This is all supposedly because I just read about it, and it was through a historical website, and they were saying that bells had been recovered periodically over spanning across the, like not like all within 20 years. We're talking like randomly would discover a bell on the edge of that forest, like its perimeter.
What the fuck?
I found that interesting because a lot of people go there and off themselves.
Yes,
dude,
they do.
and they've been doing that a long time. And it's like, well, why are you lining up the bells around the outside? It's like you're trying to do something to keep people out or lure people in.
I think it'd be more keeping people in.
The spirits, right?
Correct.
Or just people.
Correct.
Or just people.
The unfortunate
You know?
ones who find that the only exit and strategy
Is
right?
to take their life. Yeah.
The horrible outcome. But I mean, if they believe the trapped soul and the tortured soul needs to be quelled and calmed down, and that seems like a pretty good strategy to me.
Well, it's because what I also stumbled upon was they have like an actual rich documented history of cases where going back a long time, dude. Oh, my bad. Question answered. Right? No, yeah. But no, going back hundreds and hundreds of years where there's literally documented talking about like where there's cases of like I forgot what they called it. It was like the Japanese like a spirit where it's like a spirit of like vengeance and hate, and it would manifest itself over time from someone who passed away, who took their own life, and would try to leave the forest and to seek out others to bring with them because they're alone, because they're stuck. They're stuck here because they could not let go.
Like a possession, right?
Or like it's like the way they described it, it was like a twisted spirit, like someone.
Yeah.
I feel like Supernatural actually did a really good job, not on this topic, but they had a narrative in the Supernatural show where if you chose not to move on, you would eventually become a vengeful spirit.
Correct.
Type thing.
Well, that's the whole root of an exorcism, right?
Yeah.
It's a vengeful spirit that takes over the body to take others with it.
Yeah,
That's
which
the whole idea.
had become demonic or whatever,
Correct.
in that regard. Yeah, no, it's wild, dude.
So, I mean, these
It's interesting.
bells, right? These ancient bells, these bells in general. Do you consider this a lost technology?
I think that since we know for a fact that you can manipulate physical matter, water, sand, dirt, there's videos on YouTube of people picking up using sound to pick things up.
There's a fantastic X account. I believe it's called a Red Panda. And this guy is in his garage using sound frequency and electricity together.
Is it Red Panda or is he just sharing?
It's him, yeah.
Oh, shit.
And he is creating UFO technology in his garage using sound frequencies and electricity to manipulate gravity. It's fucking cool. It's so sick.
Whoa.
Have you seen that guy? I think I've shared it to you a few times, and I think I've retweeted it or reshared it on our X account, but it is very cool stuff. Like he'll have a disc. He'll have a disc, and it's just floating in space, circling, going crazy.
Yeah. No, you show me it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
He's trying to make it on a huge scale to show that sound and frequencies are able to produce flight and travel through the cosmos.
Travel through the cosmos.
The pale blue dot.
The pale blue dot. We know what you done did, dude.
I don't really have much else on this, but I truly think that the lost technology is a bell. Technology can be anything, right? It doesn't have to be a computer. It can be a plow. It can be something that made your existence easier and better. That is a technology to me.
Yeah.
And if a bell was able to cure broken bones, cure a common cold or some sort of mental deformity or ailment, yeah, that's a technology. That is absolutely a technology. And since we're no longer allowed to hear the proper hertz to heal you on everyday radio or on a regular basis any longer, that really screams this is a technology that they don't want you to have. So everybody, go out. Go find a proper copper bell. Proper copper.
Proper copper,
Proper
yeah.
copper bell. Welcome to Smartly Uneducated at Night, a 505. That's my radio voice, huh? Been working on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull. I had a thing in my notes, and I'm not finding. I'm trying to find it right now. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'll let you keep talking just for a moment.
I don't have much, right? But there's a guy named Jamie Freeman. He proposes that bells are part of the Lost Resonant Technology Network, using specific frequencies for healing or energy manipulation, destroyed during the global resets. Now, I know everybody hears of the resets. Every 80 years is a reset.
Yeah.
That's where something catastrophic happens, a war, tsunamis, mud floods. This is when the resets happen. So every 80 years or so is a reset. They suppress more and more ancient knowledge every time.
Yeah.
That's why people believe, and me included, that there is a section of history in the Roman Empire that is just erased. We talked about it. We did a whole 2-hour segment on it. I don't know, maybe a year ago now, of the lost time.
Yeah.
Right. So it is believable. Again, this is something I researched and found documents on through Jamie Freeman, and then I asked AI. This is what I've been trying to do nowadays. Find a individual who talks about a fringe topic or a conspiracy, and then I'm going to ask AI their opinion.
Yeah.
And AI every time is on the contrary, saying, no, it's not real. In this specific instance, it says Jamie Freeman is a fringe conspiracy analyzer, thinking that bells were lost technology. There's no solid evidence to support this, and mainstream historians attribute bell removals to wartime metal needs.
No shit.
It's crazy shit, right?
Yeah, but let's talk about ancient control. What if?
Camera.
How about this? How about this? I want you to entertain this with me for a little bit. One thing I did notice, and what led me onto it even heavier, was because when we talked about the Tartaria concept, right? And then I also mentioned how bells were, like the people, the elites of that time in that like civilization or that country had those giant doors they would go behind, where everyone else had paper doors and paper walls, and that didn't stop the sound frequencies. Well, if you look at because there's a bunch of different maps, right, of showing where bells apparently used to be, that they knew of.
Map.
They're all strategically placed throughout the cities. And so in my head, I was like, it's like a grid. It's like a control grid. It's kind of like a traffic light system. It's like, nope, you got to stop. Nope. Okay. Green means go. Let's go. But instead of green means go, red means stop. It's go back to your fucking house. Mandatory curfew. Get
the night's
in there.
over.
Yeah. And it's because it's like they really look like they're strategically placed. So that would pretty much knock out getting rid of, and this is the conspiracy side, right? Of get rid of like art and like cultural tradition. It's like, no, they were literally a tool. And since it's kind of like a gun, right? A gun is a tool. That's how I see it. You can use it for hunting to feed yourself. You can use it for defending yourself, or you can use it as, as an attacker.
Can I drop a completely separate bomb on you?
Yeah, drop it, dude. I want to hear the bomb.
Have you heard of the Upshur bell?
No.
It's 300 million years old.
Get out of town.
That's what it says. That's what the carbon dating on it is.
Get out.
300 million years old. It has an iron clapper, and it's made out of brass.
You said iron clapper.
That's what it's called on the inside. That's what the little thing on the inside's about. It's about this. It's about a foot long. It's relatively small in the grand scheme of things.
I think it's interesting you said it's an iron clapper inside.
Right?
Because it's not the same metallurgy as the rest of the bell, because they don't want that to be vibrating. It can only vibrate and resonate so much because it's supposed to be like an anchoring.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, dude.
300
My brain
you should-
went to things.
You should look it up real quick. The Upshur Bell, UPSHUR Bell, 300 million years old. It has a little statue on top. And I want you to tell me what the
Palm Harbor,
God
right?
no, just Bell.
I did.
Press enter. Down in the middle, or top right as well, where the little
These?
where the little statue is, the cross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's the handle
Whoa.
where you hold it.
Here, I'm gonna switch the camera over to that. So that's where you hold it.
You might want to make it a little bit bigger, but
That's just the handle.
yeah. So what does that look like to you?
That almost looks like. Well, two things go to my mind. One is it looks like a handle and a crossguard on a sword.
Okay.
But then it also looks like something from that Tartarian deal.
So this is the backside of it. If you go down a little bit, the second image,
This one?
it looks like an Anunnaki to me.
Oh, it kind of does.
Like the description of what they were to have looked like.
Oh, yeah. It kind of does. I see the resemblance. Oh, dang it. I didn't mean to click out of it.
Yeah, it's that one. Click that one.
Well, I saw that one right here because it's got... Oh, I think it's the same guy. Yeah, so... Is this like another one right here?
No, I don't know what that is.
But
But yeah, so they're saying this thing's 300 million years old, and they found it in West Virginia in 1944 inside of a lump of coal.
Whoa.
So it was buried deep, deep underground.
Whoa. Have you ever heard of infrasound?
I have not.
But infrasound, what it does is straight up biological interference.
Oh, hell yeah. What?
Yes. So infrasound, it's frequencies below 20 hertz.
Is that why I'm so tall? Wait.
That's why you got bad bowel movement, dude. You got blummed up, you know what I mean? And then it turns into a plug.
So explain to me what this is.
So it's frequencies below 20 hertz. It can't be heard, but you can feel it. It's like it's a sound you feel and not hear.
Oh, so that's what I was sort of describing at the grocery stores with all those metallic motors.
I've been saving stuff, bro.
Well, we're coming to the end of the show.
I know. I'm basically I have like. I
And
only
if you've
have, like,
made
a
it this
couple
far,
things.
thank you so much. Don't
Yeah,
forget
thank
to
you.
like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Tell your grandma. Blast us on the Walmart PA system.
And the brown noise.
Yeah, specifically the brown
Yeah,
note.
dude, make them all poop themselves. They're all gonna be running to the adult diaper section.
Is the camera on us or the?
It's
I'm
on
sure
you.
Bell still.
It's on you right now.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah,
What's up, everybody?
it's up. But no. So you get this.
Cameron.
Causes. I already did. It causes nausea, heavy nausea, dizziness, severe panic attacks, hallucinations, and pure visual distortions.
What the hell?
Yeah. And guess what? Many of the world's oldest bells produce these exact kind of frequencies when struck in a particular spot. And that's why I kept randomly throwing in there. I was like, what if they're not used for good? What if they're, because it's like a tool. That's why I was going on to the tool bit, where it's like, it's a tool. You can use it for either or. It's a multi-purpose. It's like a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it
Just not this
seriously
big.
is beginning to remind me of the microwave war weapons that the CIA uses.
Yep. And direct energy weapons, all that
Absolutely
stuff. Yep.
right.
Yep. Because
That-
think about Havana syndrome.
Yeah, absolutely. It drives you nuts.
Yeah. And so the question is like, is it just a coinkydink? Or is this more of like a knowledge that was, like just ancient knowledge of vibrational manipulation that was removed from the masses knowing about it?
I think that's definitely what it was.
That's where my conspiracy brain goes when we're on that side of it, because it's like, what? And so, for instance, like, you ever heard of like a timeline of weaponization? So you think cathedrals, right? You think worship, right? Anyone would. Instinctually, you think like, oh, it's a cathedral, it's got a bell. You know, they
Church.
bring it to church, you worship, blah, blah, blah.
No, it's where the guns were. It's where the fucking bombs were at, dude. They'd go
Yeah.
call the people and get their swords. Sorry.
Well, dude, they're calling the dogs are out. Who? Who?
the dogs. Who let them out?
Dude, that's the whitest version ever.
Who let
Who let those dogs out?
Who let the dogs out?
Hey, where's me?
Who let them out? Who? Wow.
Dude, we're white here. We're also from the 20s. Wait. Yeah.
Ese, hablamos español, señorito, is no.
So why I say like a timeline of weaponization is because think about it. Cathedrals designed the way they're designed aren't necessarily always for worship. They're just not. Because you know how many mass murders have happened in cathedrals over the thousands of years?
Yeah.
Like the Crusades, case in point. Did you know that there were a certain crusade, like it's documented now? The Vatican doesn't, the Catholics don't like talking
Did you
about
know that
this
the Vatican
particular-
was its own country?
Mhm.
I found that out last week.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you knew that.
Nope.
We talked about the Vatican so many times.
I had no idea.
Well, here it's smartly uneducated.
We stay uneducated.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Where he doesn't know something,
Clip it.
I know it. Where I don't know a lot of things, he knows the rest. I'm dumb.
Amazing.
But no, sorry. And this is the last little bits I've got, and I've got maybe 3 minutes worth of stuff. But think about this. So, in the the Crusades, you think, oh, the Crusades happened. You think a bunch of knights went around, like that's what pops into a lot of people's heads because of Hollywood. Knights went around just slaying dudes, women, children, people that didn't believe in their particular way they see God.
Yeah.
Right. Well, don't worry, camera's on me. But the thing is,
No, I was looking
yeah.
at.
Oh, but no, like they say that, right? Or that's the instinctual response. You think like, oh, knights going and pillaging and then slaying towns and villages. But what people don't talk about is when knights would round up the local villagers and force them into the cathedrals, and then, but never use their swords, and then people would find everyone dead inside.
Ooh, big frequency pill.
Like a mass wipeout. It's like, no, get them all in here. It'll be easier, less work.
Ooh, Wipeout? No, that's a fun show.
Yeah, dude.
There you go.
But yeah, dude, like the vault, because the way they're built, it's a harmonic chamber. These old school cathedrals, and that would make a lot of sense if they knew, because especially back then, the Vatican knows about stuff that they always keep under lock and key, which means it's quite possible. I don't think it's far outside the realm to entertain the idea that maybe they were using it to. They knew that you could use it for doing other nefarious things.
I wonder if you can use it to manipulate time.
That's pretty dope.
It's a good thought, right?
I mean, it's like sound waves are just invisible energy.
Yeah, pretty much.
You amplify enough of it at one point, and think about like Stargate, wormholes, things like that, manipulating frequencies around it, rotations and spiraling and penetrating into one singular point altogether once it hits a certain frequency and harmonics and energy manipulation on each individual device, and then they converge on each other. That's a wormhole, bro. That's a portal.
Well,
dude.
brother, that's how you make a wormhole, dude. You want to go travel to time?
Dude, that's how you make a plane disappear, dude.
Yeah, dude. You want to spin in circles like a loop-de-doop, dude, and send it.
Loop-de-doop-doop, poop.
I said loop-de-doop,
I
dude.
pooped in that loop-de-doop.
What do you call it? Never mind.
We call that a porta-poop.
What do you call a poop that's...
Porta-loop.
What do you call a turd that's in a circle? Loopy poopy. Now that's a frequency, Dookie.
So I'm gonna leave everyone with this, and this is all I got. So enter the age of covert sonic warfare, right? LRADs, active denial systems, are pretty much just public-facing tech, right? So the real stuff still classified. Havana syndrome, diplomats in Cuba and China struck down by invisible energy.
Whoa.
Symptoms exactly like infrasound exposure. Almost verbatim. Obviously to the 10th power, it's obviously being constructed from a different source, not a bell. What if the same infrastructure, this is the question I pose to anyone listening still. What if the same infrastructure behind these old ancient bells and now powers microwave and ultrasonic emitters? The same architecture. because they're a big deal. All these scientists and all these things are all big on sacred geometry and sound waves and how they interact with sacred geometry and all these things and all these geometrical prisms and shapes. And you layer them a certain way, have them shaped a certain way. Now you're producing some real big poop.
That's a very shocking thought, but
It is.
I tend to believe it. They have the lost technology concept for the bells.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's not so lost. Maybe they just manipulated it, and the bells were now considered trash. They just threw them away in the landfill.
Yep. And my last 60 seconds that I have on all my stuff is the following. Mind control by resonance.
Oh, fuck.
Bells affect mood, perception, even your sense of time, right? So think binaural beats, hypnotic rhythms, repetitive bell tolling may induce, well, it's not even may, it will induce a trance-like state if you're subjected to it and you are stuck in it for, long enough. Well, that's a double-edged sword. You can use it for good things, but you also can use it for very bad things. Like alter your mind to make you go off yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Altering your mind to make you go, Manchurian Candidate style.
Jason Bourne.
Mm-hmm. Combine this all with basically electromagnetic field influence. Now you're talking total cognitive override. You are not piloting anymore. You don't even know what you're doing. How many murder cases have we seen happen with political figures over the years? I'm talking about a long time, right? Where they said that it's like they were dreaming and they had no control. There are cases of that.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. So throwing that out there. So my last little tidbit. This is like forbidden knowledge in a way. So like ancient texts and blueprints for resonance chambers, sonic healing, or even vibrational levitation have been conveniently lost. Interesting. Everything's just conveniently lost. No one knows.
Sounds a lot like the Gateway experience.
Mm-hmm. Only, yeah, it's one of the sides of the sword.
Yeah.
And think about it in like 6D chess, 6D environment. Not 4D, not 5D, 60, because we're talking.
Sounds a lot like MK Ultra too, right?
Yep.
So
a lot of things.
A lot of things lead to that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of roads lead to El Dorado, right? So, holy shit, that's crazy. That has left me dumbfounded just now.
I'm gonna throw one last thing on you to really make you dumbfounded. What if the old stuff that got wiped away, buried, right? What if back then it was used for good overall and healing, but when a new totalitarian takeover took place, it was purely intentional because they wanted to repurpose it for control, not for healing and helping people. We're talking about as a collective mass.
Yeah. I believe it.
Because what happened, like apparently if Tartaria existed, right, that was like people were at a level of living where there's free energy, all these things.
What if that's what EMF is?
Tesla's on something too.
Electromagnetic frequency.
Mm-hmm.
God dang.
Mm-hmm.
God dang.
God dang, dude. And the final warning on all this stuff, my fellow uneducated dudes and dudettes, is if bells weren't just instruments, if they were instruments of power, what else other than this have we missed and we don't know about that potentially existed at the time of these things? Because if that was a huge technological advancement that was, not the same as technology you have now, but advanced in a completely different, crazy way, what other advanced technology existed in there that got lost to the overall masses, but yet someone carried through particular groups in the shadows?
Sounds like the Skull and Bones Society at it again.
Yeah, it sounds like societies like that play puppet strings. Illuminati.
Name them, right?
Name them, right? So think about your surroundings. The hum of traffic, background music in stores. You already mentioned that. Chime in your phone.
Mm-hmm. Well,
The ghost vibrations you get on your phone.
we know that the creator of Netflix is the grandson of the guy who invented subliminal advertisements.
Yep. And I'm going to leave one sentence statement and I'm done. All I can say is this. This is my personal thought. It's a mixture of conspiracy and just from deep diving this stuff and actually trying to look into every aspect. I don't think this is not just about sound. I don't think so. This is literally a control through resonance. That's it. And the bells were just a beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. That's what I think. I think there's a whole goddamn giant iceberg below that we have no idea about. That's what I think.
Yeah, playing off that, I think it's a lot to do with the old technology. They have just invented new ways of using it.
Mm-hmm.
And with that,
yeah,
we're done.
Brown noise. Dude, I just shit my pants.
And thank you all for joining us, as I mentioned earlier.
Yep.
I'm Evan, that's Ben, smartly and educated over here. If you've made it this far, you are the real one. You're the person, you're the reason why we do all this. So thank you so very much. Make sure you go share this to the world. Tell all your friends and your family. Yeah, absolutely. I've already said all that. So yeah, do it again.
Well, that's it for us. You guys have a good night. We'll catch you on the flippity flops.
We'll see you next week, huh?
Bye-bye.